After that, we are going to have the Harold Diaz do something very, very interesting with us. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that after our song. Sitting in our audience is a very special person. We are all special, but I'm just going to acknowledge this person. I think she thought she could have remained hidden. Sister Marlene, she's there. She's there probably, yes. Sister Marlene has been a blessing to me. She has been a blessing to our ministry. She has been a blessing to all of us. This is our music teacher, and can I add extraordinary at the end of that, Sister Marlene? I can, right? She has really helped us. Some of us we have not forgotten some of her lessons. The pronunciation of words, and she will stop and say, stop. What you just said. Very, very excellent teacher. If you need really good musical training, I do highly recommend Sister Marlene Hunt. At this time, we are going to sing a song that she didn't teach us this. We actually brought it to her, and she scolded us a lot. I am not sure how it is going to go today because we are missing one of our persons, but we are going to do our best. All right, Sister Marlene? We know we are going to be criticized. You don't let us off the hook easily, but we have grown accustomed to you and we love the way you teach.
How deep the Father's love for us, how vast beyond all measure, that He should give His only Son to make a wretch His treasure. How great the pain of searing loss, the Father turns His face away, as wounds which mar the chosen one bring many sons to glory. Behold the man upon the cross, my sin upon His shoulders. Ashamed, I hear my mocking voice call out among the
At this time, we are very fortunate, perhaps blessed, on this wonderful Sabbath day to have Brother Diaz with us. I think most of you know him, if not all of you know him. And at this ministry, we strongly advocate for God's way, nature's way. And Brother Diaz, you're free to come, my dear brother. He's going to be doing something exciting with us, and it's going to upset you a little bit. And I use the word upset in a very positive way. We are going to actually be moving at some point on his word outside. We're going to be moving ourselves from outside, from inside rather, of this building, and we are going to be heading outside. It is high time for our Sabbaths to be dynamic. It is high time for us to actually learn when we come to service. And I am very pleased to present to us Brother Harold Diaz, who is going to teach us all that God has taught him. Welcome to Truth for Today Ministry, Brother Diaz. God's richest blessings.
Thank you. And the word says that by their fruits you shall know them. Sister Marlene, you're good. You're real good. I was going to ask these guys if they're recording already. I'm not joking. I'm not joking. No, serious. I truly enjoy that rendition. Well, it's an honor for me to be here. I would like to, thank Brother Brent and J Buddy. They're actually part of my team. So I don't have to come and stand here in front of all of these strange faces, you know. If I get nervous, I'll look at Brent and know him. All right. Let me introduce myself. All right. So my name is Harold Diaz. I'm a naturalist. I'm a master herbalist. I'm a certified blood technician. I'm a health coach. I could keep going down that road, but I think I said enough, right? All right. So my brother mentioned that you might get a little upset or something. Sometimes people do get a bit upset when I speak, but I promise you one thing. What I'm about to say to you is the truth. The truth does offend, but what I've recognized with some of these people that have been offended in time past, we are actually very good friends now. Because they recognize that they were able to put the pieces together. So my intention was not to offend anybody. All right? The scripture says that my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Not that knowledge isn't available, but we are destroyed because of rejecting knowledge. Now, I've learned over the years that we could sincerely be wrong, and we could reject knowledge in sincerity. We're not destroyed for that. While there are consequences for such, we are actually destroyed for recognizing truth, but yet rejecting it. That's actually why we are destroyed. All right, so in my experience, I have been, for want of a better word, disappointed. But before learning how to deal with certain things, I have to say that anger came first. And then I recognized, well, okay, anger is not the way to deal with it. And then I recognized that maybe I'm not really angry, maybe I'm more disappointed. All right? Let me give you an example of that. When I first came into the church, one of the things that interested me was the health aspect. I thought that this church has something that I could not find in any other church. And I started to hold on to that. And I started to make steps into the direction of health. And then over a period of time, I got to a point where I recognized that we have the right concept, but we are lost in terms of how to get to the other side. Because there's a few things that I had to recognize really quickly that works against us as a people. Now, we have a concept that living healthy, now before I say that, all right, I want you guys to be honest with me, okay? Because what I'm about to share here today is both life-changing as well as some of you will think that, here what's going on, this is monumental. But my success would also depend on your honesty. So I am going to share with you a concept that we have that is incorrect. And then by God's grace, I am going to attempt to change that concept. So how many people here, be honest, is off the concept that health is expensive? Put your hands up. I want you to be honest, you know. So I'm going to ask the question again because some people probably didn't understand where I was coming from. How many people here is of the concept that health or eating healthy is expensive? Put your hands up and keep it up. Brother Brent, this church is real good. Yeah, this church is really good. Okay, so that's the concept that I came into the church and was taught. And as time went on, and I started to delve deeper and deeper into health, I recognized that that concept is misleading. As a matter of fact, eating healthy is cheap. All right? You guys heard that? Eating healthy is cheap. But what happened was that Daniel and his friends ended up in a place called Babylon. And in case you did not know, we are presently in Babylon. But there was something that Daniel and his friends refused to do. Who would like to tell me, what did they refuse to do? They refused to do what? They refused to eat from the king's table. In 2025, what will the king's table represent? Don't answer yet. Somebody said flesh, you're already gone wrong. All right? What we are going to do is we are going to change the concept. And we are going to understand today what is the king's table. Because if it is that everybody in this audience that eats meat, if it is that you quit today, I could almost guarantee you next month, 3/4 of you wouldn't be looking as fresh as you look right now. You heard what I just said? All right, so I see you some confused places now. Yeah, if you quit eating meat now, in a month's time, 3/4 of you wouldn't be looking as good as you're looking today. I can almost guarantee you that. This lady in the back there, she's looking at me like, what in the world this man's saying? My Lord, why did I come here for this Sabbath? What kind of hypocrisy? What kind of atrocity? Pastor, you sure you bring the right person here? I'm sure. So let me explain something to you. Our bodies heal by way of nutrition. And what happened was, I came into the church, I became vegetarian even before I was baptized. And approximately 3 months after, my weight went down by probably, I don't want to lie, I was about 140 pounds. My weight was down by probably 110 pounds. And I wasn't looking good. But I was trying to do everything right. I wanted to be a Daniel. And as time went on, my weight eventually went down to 98 pounds. I was going through some stress too. I found myself in the hospital. All right, and for years I suffered from thyroid dysfunction. Was it because I quit meat? No. But was there a link? Yes. I did the right thing the wrong way. All right? All right, so I see some head shaking now in the right direction. All right. Okay, so maybe this guy is not as crazy. I did the right thing, but I did it the wrong way. You see, let me just mention again something to you. Our bodies heal as a result of nutrition. Today we are eating at the king's table. We have a small group of people that have hijacked the planet. And they own everything. All the groceries, all the hospitals, all the schools, they own everything. They are educating you, they are feeding you, but they are not godly men. Do you understand the predicament that we are in? And they get up on national TV and they say big and bold, we have to decrease the world population. And no police arrest them. Because they also own the police. They own the judges, they own the lawyers, they own the media. So everything you watch on TV is what they want you to see. And we have been indoctrinated over a period of time, so they have us right where they want us. We are eating from the king's table. Now, in order for us as a people to get back to primitive godliness, because that's where we're headed, we have to stop eating from the king's table. Because as long as we continue eating from the king's table, they have us right where they want us. So, I came into the church, I quit meat. And I decided from now on I am eating my cabbage, my broccoli, my carrots, my lettuce, my pak choy, but I got sick. All right? Don't bad talk spinach. All right? I didn't eat much spinach. I should have. All right? All the body, all right? Now, does this food have nutrition? Yes, of course it does. Does it have enough? No. So let me explain to you why it doesn't have enough. All these foods that I just called are genetically modified foods. All these foods have been created and placed in front of us, and we are encouraged to eat your vegetables. The issue is these foods have been genetically modified, and over a period of time of eating those foods, you eventually end up in a problem. Somebody tell me, what is that problem called? In one word. Wait, hold. Somebody said it over here. Malnutrition. Now, we have been trained to think that malnutrition was discovered in Africa. And there are some little children walking around over there with distended stomach, all right, muscles wasted in the legs and arms, and that's malnutrition. Let me tell you something, we're far from the truth. Malnutrition is a condition that exists in any body whose body does not contain a proper balance of minerals, vitamins, amino acids. That describes almost everybody. You don't need the big stomach. You don't need the muscle wasting. No. There's a lot of nice big people walking around the place that are malnutrition. Now, when I started this program years ago, all right, first of all, let me tell you what inspired this program. We got locked down. And the word on everybody's lips was COVID. And I recognized that COVID was a mini Sunday law. Why was it a mini Sunday law? I recognized that it affected your ability to buy. It affected your ability to sell. It affected your free movement. It affected everything. So it seems to me that it was Sunday law in practice. And I got frightened. But you will never guess why I got frightened. Or maybe somebody want to guess. What do you think frightened me about that situation? Huh? The church's reaction. I thought that I was part of a movement that understood that in those crises we stand. And I got confused because we weren't standing. We were bowing And as a matter of fact, we went further than that. We became an advocate. And we started to persecute our own. And I recognize, what are we going to do? We are in a situation where we are not ready. We are nowhere close ready. And I got angry. Remember I told you earlier I got angry? I got angry. And then I recognized to myself that anger wasn't the way to solve this. And then I was left with disappointment. And I recognized to myself that we are so far from the mark. How are we going to get through this? And I started going back into some of those readings that we didn't read enough of. And I came across a little quote that said, every single Seventh-day Adventist should have a knowledge of natural remedies. And I thought, Lord, but how are we going to do this? And the words of Isaiah came to my head. All right. Here I am. Send me. I thought, what was that? Send who? But then I recognized that, okay, well, if I do all of these natural remedies, it's time to go and do something with it. I said, well, Lord, I don't know where to start, but here we're going on. You lead the way. And the first church that I ever visited, I asked the question, how many people here knows about natural remedies? No hands went up. And boy, now I was worried. But over the years, it's been getting better. Because I know that today, if I ask the church how many people knows about natural remedies, I know how many people here knows at least one or two natural remedies. See? Yeah? Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. So I'm not so disappointed anymore when I ask that question. And I thank God that over the years, it wasn't a waste. All right? More and more people are getting into it. Now, today, we're going to walk out there. We're going to see what it have around here that you don't have to buy, that you could cook. And we're going to take it into the kitchen. Some of the stuff already prepared, right, Jay? Yeah? And we're going to cook it. And we're going to see how many people would enjoy it. But basic idea is to be able to prepare a meal that doesn't require money. Stuff that is already available to us that we could put to use. And if it does cost money, it doesn't cost very much. All right? That's what I want us to do today. Now, for everything that God has created, the enemy has created a counterfeit. Based on the word of God, I was able to isolate God's remedy. And the spirit of prophecy indicates that the natural remedies, that's God's remedy. And in order to get the counterfeit, all I had to do was take a look at what is the system that fights God's enemy, God's remedy. If I could find the system that fights God's remedy, then I could find the enemy. And without a doubt, I know the devil's remedy. And I found that entity to be Western medicine or pharmaceutical. Now, this is where some people get upset with me. But I don't want you to get upset with me today, you know. What I want you to do is to just use your upstairs and see if what I'm about to say makes sense. So there's a place in Trinidad called Laventille. How many people knows Laventille? Or have heard of the name before? So every time the U.S. put out a travel advisory, he laughing. But that's the fact. Every time the U.S. puts out an advisory, a travel advisory on Trinidad, Laventille. Stay away from Laventille. All right. So, with that example, this is what I'm going to say. Long time ago, in the Roman province, in a Roman province, there was a street called Pharmacia. You could take a look into your history. I'm not going to go too much into it because I would like you guys to do a little research. So there was a street called Pharmacia. And on that street, everybody knew that this is where you will find witchcraft, you would find sorcery, you would find certain behavior that people back then weren't too pleased with if you respected God. And that street for ages has been known to be a bad street because that is where the Obeah live. And this is where you will find the witch of Endor if she was still alive and people like that. And as time went on, so let's say you got into a time machine and you move forward in time, you eventually got so far ahead of time that people forgot the name Pharmacia. But what is interesting is that now you live in a world where the majority of people no longer spoke Latin and stuff like that. They spoke English. So you came across a word like pharmacy. What did I say? Pharmacy. And for some strange reason, you decided to ask ChatGTP, what does that word mean? Could you please give some history on that word? And ChatGTP tells you that, well, actually the word pharmacy came from pharmacy. So let's say that you lived back in those days, and somehow you got into a time machine and you came to 2025. And you see the word pharmacy, and you know that meant pharmacia, and in the 16th century, you used to stay far from that street. What would you think of pharmacy today? Stay far from it. It's simple. Stay far from it. It turns out that today, that very word is still connected to the same behavior of the 16th century. But the Bible calls it sorcery. But pharmakia, translated, means exactly that. The Bible didn't read and spell for you. The Bible simply says, take a look at your history. The one system that fights against natural medicine is the pharmaceutical industry. You could choose to take it or not. But if God's natural remedies is His way, then the one thing that fights against it will be the counterfeit. So when I say that pharmaceuticals was created by the devil to destroy God's people, don't vex with me. Simply take a look at your history and take a look at the one system that fights natural remedies. And you are going to come to the very, very same conclusion that I've come to. If you come to a different conclusion, you're from a different planet. Now, at the end of the day, I am not here to argue or get anybody to raise their arms against pharmaceuticals. No. Don't pick fights that you can't win. I am here simply to encourage you to go God's way. It's as simple as that. So from 98 pounds lying in a hospital bed, starting to research where I went wrong, I started to recognize that there was one major change that I made in my diet. Besides becoming vegetarian, there was one major change that I made in my diet. I added soy products. Soy, S-O-Y. And I thought to myself, what are the chances that this is where I went wrong? And then I recognized something. It turns out that that time, 90% of the world's soy was genetically modified. So in other words, the 5% which you don't get in Trinidad was not available. So I was eating genetically modified soy. Soy has certain elements that depletes B vitamins. And there's a particular called vitamin B5 or pantothenic acid. And if pantothenic acid is depleted, your thyroid is affected. But not just that. It also has certain elements like phytoestrogen that could mimic estrogen, because things used to be better in the bedroom. It turns out that testosterone, which we need, happens to be recessive to estrogen. So when estrogen levels in your body starts going up, testosterone levels goes down. So then your reproductive system is not as good as it used to be. And these genetically modified foods causes a lot of problems. Now, when something is genetically modified, unfortunately, what is sacrificed is the nutrition aspect so that it tastes better. You understand where I'm coming from? They modify it so that it tastes better, but it really has not much in it. And this is what we are eating as a people over these years. Now, the wild plants that we have out there, we have quite a few. These plants has not been interfered with. They are not genetically modified. And in the right place, they are free. And if you could identify these plants, you have food. And you don't have to pay a cent. So eating healthy is not expensive. So I hope in your head I have broken that concept. At least I hope I have started. Because it's a bit of a journey. But as long as you start walking in the right direction, you'll get there. All right? So I want us today to be able to do a little something. All right? We're going to do a little plant identification. We're going to see what it have around here that you could make a meal of. Mango? This fella like mango. Are we going to talk about mango? Yeah? All right? But we're going to see what we could put together. All right? That will provide the body with the necessary nutrition that we need. All right? And we will move forward with that. All right? And maybe one of these good days, we'll probably take it further. Yeah? And we could do some other things. All right? Now, some people might worry that, the rain falling out there. No, no, no. In Jesus' name, that will stop. Yeah, because the Lord knows that we have a mission here today. All right? So don't worry about that rain out there. Even if you get wet, don't worry yourself. A little water is good. Yes, sir.
Are you bringing the mic?
Hello? Yeah, just a while ago you were speaking about soya. And in 1987, when I was introduced to soya, hello? Man, I hit milk, one big boots. Let me tell you, the hardest boots, I hit milk. And since then, I suffer in it because I cannot put no milk product to my mouth. If I only drink any kind of milk, toilet, right? But then now, I come and I start experiencing something different. Because when I'm using the soya, I find like it is sustaining me. And I ain't feeling good on the soya. So what I started doing, all the grains, all the nuts and grains, I start combining it together with sea moss. And I make something they call Lazarus. Right? And let me tell you something, bro. You see, you just name the nuts, you combine it, you blend it, and you make a milk, and you put sea moss in that. You sweeten it with a little raisins and thing and a little honey. Brother, when you drink that cold, you're bound for a meal.
That is a meal.
Huh?
You just described a meal.
I'm telling you, and for years I started using that because I personally find even I turned to the soya, I wasn't satisfied.
Okay. But Lazarus is also kind of expensive.
The nuts, the grains are a little expensive here.
Correct.
With the
So let me give you a Lazarus that wouldn't cost you much. Okay?
Yeah.
Good. You go and get a coconut. A coconut. Dry coconut. You blend the coconut. You could use a little hot water, not boiling water. Eh? I am asking you to make no bomb here today. Hot water, but not boiling water. Put it into the blender and blend your coconut. Blend it well. And after that, you strain it. Okay? And let that be your milk. Okay? You don't need anything else. Make your own milk. All right? You can keep that in the refrigerator. And that becomes your milk. You don't need milk. Milk is psychological. Because if I give you coconut milk in some tea, you wouldn't ask me what type of milk this is. The tea is already white. You're going to drink it without asking a question. You may recognize that you're getting some difference in the taste, but you're not going to ask that question. All you really want is white. All right? It's psychological. You don't need cow milk. All right? Why do they teach us we need to drink cow milk? Because we need what? We need calcium. But where does cow get their calcium? The cow gets the calcium from the food that they eat, the grass. So what we are trying to do is get second-hand calcium. And the amount of calcium that we're getting from cow's milk, we end up with a whole lot of problems. Why? Because there is no magnesium. Magnesium regulates calcium. You don't get magnesium in cow's milk. It is not compatible with our system. If you want a milk that is compatible with our system, it will be goat's milk. And you don't necessarily need to drink goat's milk because even that costs some money. All right? Get the coconut. The coconut has a really good balance of enzymes, minerals, as well as amino acids. You could drink that and you could be happy with that. Okay? How much does it cost? The neighbor might have a tree. All right? Coconut falling. All right? Husk the coconut and put it under your sink or something. Okay? But the coconut milk, that's the way to do it. All right? But the Lazarus punch that you're describing, is it the original from Dr. Alexander while he was alive? Nah, okay. You make your own thing. All right. So Dr. Alexander, for those that probably knew the gentleman, he created Lazarus punch. And the formula was pretty close to what you're actually describing. But we don't necessarily need to go that way because we know the nuts and all these things are actually kind of expensive. If you can afford the nuts, yes, go ahead. But for the average person, you don't necessarily need to go that way. The coconut milk does a really good job at it. Okay? Yeah. All right, so Brother Brent thinks that the rain have held up a little bit. We could probably, okay, hold. Okay, I'll tell you what. Let us see if we could do this thing out there while we have the weather, and if possible, we could probably come back in and maybe do a little Q&A. That's okay?
Yeah.
All right, good. All right, so let's just step out there for a little while.
So let's do this orderly. This session is very beneficial to us, brethren. It's outside of the norm, but it's very essential. I am eager to see what I have outside there that I could put in a pot or put in a salad and eat. But Harold seems to know, so we're walking by faith here, right?